Warning, this video contains spoilers for Adam's top 10 video games. You have been warned. I've been working on this video for a while. It's taken me a while to decide what these games are and what they mean to me. A lot of these games are my childhood, and some may not make sense, but these are my opinions, and I hope you appreciate them. Please, enjoy the video. I'm sure this is going to surprise a lot of people, but I really like this game. And that says a lot because I am not at all an RPG guy. Number 10 is the one and only Undertale. What do I have to think about it? It's a great game. It seems almost unflawed. The character design is fabulous. And the music that Toby's made for this game is just one of a kind, and I don't think anyone could ever come up to it. There are faults, however. The game can be easy to break sometimes, and the story gets very confusing if you're not looking at the right things. And you can get easily lost if you don't know what you're doing. But this game is only 15 bucks, so I can't really complain a whole lot. This game is definitely worth your money. Donkey Kong Country is a perfect game, don't get me wrong, but it just doesn't hold up to what the other games I have in store. But this game is almost perfect, like I said before. The jumping feels great, the movement feels great, the jokes that the commercial has feel great, and the fact that Donkey Kong is just an option really helps. A lot of speedrunners pick Diddy Kong because he's faster. And that is really great. This game is perfect and you should play it right now. Play it loud with the Missouri Lottery. The game that nobody expected to exist or thought would be any good is actually really good. Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle is great. I see a lot of people comparing it to XCOM. I don't know what that is, so yeah. This is a game where Mario finally gets a gun, teams up with the Rabbids, and the Rabbids become Mario characters. And that's where the problems lie. There's only 8 characters, being Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, and Peach, and then Rabbid forms of each character. I wish there were more characters, but this is alright. You have to strategize and plan what gun you're going to use for each mission, what characters you're going to take in for each mission, and how you're going to spend your experience orbs, I think that's what they're called, to level up a skill tree of sorts. And yeah, you gotta break structures and launch yourself and characters across the battlefield to be able to end your character's enemies. Shooting them is really fun to do, and the different status effects you can give other characters are really creative sometimes. But other than that, this game is almost really good, but it only sticks with really good simply because there are a few difficulty spikes in the game that don't make sense. But other than that, this game is really good and you should definitely give it a shot. The areas are great to look at. The music is by Grant Kirkhope, same people who made the banjo music. So you should definitely give it a shot. Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle is surprisingly good. This is post Adam here. This is after writing the script. This game, I went on for longer, but I couldn't really fit it into this video because I go on for a while. So, whoops. And number 7 goes to the decent Pokemon Sword and Shield. I have a few things to say about this game. One, I really do not like the new Pokemon they added. There are a few exceptions, of course, such as Wooloo, the starters, Alcremie, Hatterene, just the cool ones. I would explain, but that'd take way too long. But then people like Grimmsnarl, Morgrem, them I'm not a huge fan of. And the existence of Galarian Pokemon makes absolutely no sense to me. The tree is a very common problem with the game. It's just not. I'd get into it, but so many other people have already done it, and it makes me sound like a broken record. The starter Pokemon are honestly my favorites of any starter ever, especially Cinderace. He's not the starter, but he's the final evolution of one of them, which is really cool. The encounters are also fixed to where it's not random. You have to run into them, like in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, which, thank you, Nintendo, for that. That is just amazing. Pokemon like Duraludon and Cramorant, I think that's how you pronounced it. They're also pretty cool. I'm looking at the trailer now as we speak, and these are honestly really cool. Just a lot of them don't really appeal to me. Like I said, Galarians don't make a lot of sense to me. The game really limits a lot of your movement. You can't turn off EXP share, which is really, really weird. You could in previous games, like Sun and Moon, but you can't do it in this game. And the excuse they gave is pretty dumb. You have to basically only have one Pokemon in your party, which is super dumb. And, that's really all I have to say about Pokemon Sword and Shield. It's just one of those games where I like it, but it's not my favorite in the series. I limited myself to one Pokemon game for this list, this being the one I decided because it's the most recent one and the one I've played the most. It's not my favorite. Pokemon Black still stays my favorite. It doesn't show up on this list though because it's not my favorite game of all time. It's my favorite Pokemon game, but Sword is the most recent in my mind. So the reason I've been saying Sword most of the time is because, like I said before, I think that's the one I've played the most. So yeah, number 7 belongs to Pokemon Sword.
Sega.
I bet none of you expected this one. Mario & Sonic The Olympic Winter Games on the Wii is the best in the series, don't get me wrong, at least on the console. There are things that I do have to complain about. The mini games / Olympic events, there could be more of them. There's not very many, but the dream events really do sell you well in this game. It sold me, so it should sell you. There are a lot of Mario and Sonic characters and great remixes for both series. And the DS games just... my god, I can't wait to get into that. But anyway, this game just contains basic minigame events, a shop, and dream events and such. You get to play as Waluigi, so it's definitely gotta be a good game.
Rated E for everyone.
You better not have thought for a second I wasn't going to go into this game. This DS port is the only good port of any of the Olympic Games, simply because of how great it is, which makes sense. There's an Olympic festival, and Mario and Sonic have to save it from the clutches of Dr. Eggman and Bowser. They have stolen the snow fairies, and they've taken away all the snow from Vancouver, so now we must travel across different lands to save them, each with their own separate mini-games and own lands. All of these are mostly made up, except for the starting world, which is based on Vancouver, I believe. And the minigames that come soon are just really fun. The minigames in the last one, which I won't talk about, were just who can ruin the screen the most because of how much you're scratching on the screen. This actually takes advantage of the DS's touch screen, like the previous one did, but without forcing you to have to destroy it. This game is perfect in almost every way, and you should definitely give it a shot if you get a DS. So the rest of these are going to have their final bosses. I just thought I'd let you guys know. So if you're not really okay with that, then go ahead and just stop watching now. Thank you for watching up to this point, though.
Nintendo!
But Adam, didn't you just say you didn't like RPGs? Well, this is an exception. Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story is my favorite Mario & Luigi game of all time, and my favorite RPG of all time. This game is just simply amazing and is regarded as the best Mario & Luigi game by fans. And I can see why. This game is almost perfect. There are a few issues with backtracking and the sort, those things that really don't make an RPG good, but this game doesn't really stick with those for a while. It's always moving on to new things. And I specifically say the DS version is the better one. I'd go on and on about the 3DS version. My main problem with it is the frame rate is inconsistent, the remixes aren't even that good, and the game has just been made so much easier, and I don't even know why. But the original, I like the entirety of this game, except of course for the backtracking, but I've already talked about that. This game is almost perfect, as I've said. You get to play as Mario and Luigi as you're running around through Bowser's Insides. I know that sounds weird, but just listen to me. As you control the tube inside Bowser, you control Bowser in an overworld, running around trying to save your castle from Fawful, which is the guy Bowser is currently fighting on screen. The battle in this game is really hard, and this isn't the final boss. I decided not to go with the final boss for this one. This is one of the ones before it. But this boss fight is just great, and as you can see here, you'll go inside Bowser's body for some fights, and fight as Mario and Luigi. And you'll probably have noticed the stats on the right. Just ignore those. But anyway, this game is almost perfect. The music is great. The way it runs, the way it plays, the ideas it brings to the table, all just magnificent. I cannot ever hate on this game, no matter how much I try. Even admitting that the 3DS version wasn't even that good hurt me, because I don't want to say anything bad about this game. It's just so good, and this game played a pivotal role in my childhood, being the first RPG I ever played. I just cannot get enough of this game, and I don't think anyone else can either. This is, once again, widely regarded as the best in the Mario & Luigi series. And whoever agrees with me on this point, by God, you have amazing tastes. Number 4 is Kirby's Return to Dreamland, and I think a lot of people agree with me on this in saying that this is the best Kirby game in the series. Not only is it the return to platforming for Kirby, and the first mainline Kirby game in years, but also the first time in years that Kirby had been on consoles. Back when this came out on the Wii, this was a major surprise to everyone. I didn't know of Kirby when this came out, so this didn't really appeal to me, but now it does. And Jesus Christ, what did I think when I was a kid? I must have been really stupid. This game is amazing, and there are a lot of reasons why. The abilities they introduced, the stages that they created, the backgrounds of said stages, the ultra or super abilities that they added, which is basically this game's mechanic. Appearing every so often, the ultra sword, beam, and a bunch of other abilities will get super forms, and you will use them in a stage to find the game's collectibles, which is the gear orbs, that's what I think they're called, which will allow you to progress through the game, earn ability rooms, ability challenges, and just fun overall. But the final boss is really what made me think about this a whole lot more than what I normally would have. This final boss hurt to play. If you don't know, this final boss actually was your friend at one point. During the game's romp, you actually build a genuine friendship with Magalore, before he is corrupted by the Master Crown that you work so hard to collect. After a shoot up through space, you finally lead up to the game's climax, which is fighting Magalore in a distorted dimension. As the dimension falls apart, you have to battle Magalore as you dodge his green spikes that come straight out of the ground, sometimes lasers that are half a screen tall, and his dark energy balls that he throws at you. There are several more attacks that he throws at you, such as a hexagon? His hexagons at you. Scary, I know. But sometimes he'll summon black holes even, and those can do a lot of damage to you. And during this part of the fight, he'll basically put a shield around him, requiring you to use your super abilities to take him down. But what happens after the fight is what really hurt me the most. After finally breaking all of the hit points on his shield, it requires you to start shaking the hell out of your Wii remote, because it wouldn't be a Wii game without it, and deliver the final blow with Ultra Sword. As you give the final slice straight through Magalore, the music cuts out. Kirby strikes a pose, and Magalore explodes in a fiery ball of hexagons. And it seems like the end. But from the blinding light, you see one thing. The Master Crown had finally transformed into its true being, and had fully taken over Magalore. A fan theory is that Magalore was taken over by the Master Crown, and I'm fully for that. Magalore's soul finally showed up. And this truly shows how your friend feels. With the genuine friendship that you make throughout the game, this is how we finally and truly felt. And this hurt me. It hurt me enough emotionally to want to put this so high up on the list. This was once my favorite game of all time, but of course I got around to playing more games, and that quickly changed, for obvious reasons. Now, I'm gonna let this final boss play as I talk about the game's flaws. There could be better level designs. Some of the levels really are just kind of like jump over here and then over here, rather than what most of the game has to offer. Of course, this isn't like redundant amounts of dumb level design like Sonic Forces, but this could genuinely be better. Most of the stages are honestly really good, and the boss fights themselves are genuinely great. But there's not enough for me to be higher up on the list. So yeah, Kirby's Return to Dreamland, everybody. Currently the latest in the Super Smash Bros. Line of games, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. It's plain and simple. This game is perfection. You don't know how many times I've asked, when can I pit my favorite Mario characters against my favorite Sonic character? Except Sonic isn't my favorite Sonic character, but either way, you can finally make most of your dream battles come to light. And with 6 more DLC characters coming this way, we cannot be more excited. There are so many opportunities for this Fighter's Pass to be great. Characters like Geno, Crash, Eggman, they all have chances of getting in now, because Sakurai has decided to bless us with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate DLC. King K. Rool, Ridley, Isabelle, characters that have been requested for years have finally joined the fray, and with the DLC of Banjo and Kazooie, Terry Bogard, and even some oddball choices like the hero from Dragon Quest. Those characters were highly requested from all sides of the world, and we finally got a way to represent those series with a ton of love. Each of the game's remixes cannot be understated whatsoever. All of them are just blessings, except for the ones that came with Byleth, but we don't talk about those. Anyway, the balancing isn't perfect, of course, but no fighting game is. These characters, the stages, the music, the options you have other than fighting, it's just perfection, and I don't think any of us can ever thank Sakurai enough for the game he's brought to all of us today. Boy, do I have a lot to say about this game. 1. The characters, the character design, all of them great. Paper Mario, Paper Peach, Paper Bowser, Paper Luigi, great. But the new characters they throw in here like Mimi, Ochunks, Count Black, Dementio, Boomer, Theoro, all of them great. They look great, and Jesus Christ, does the story sound like an anime. I've heard a lot of people hate on this game, but they are dead wrong. So after you collect one of the 7 pure hearts straight out of hell and heaven, yes, that is definitely what happens, you face off against the secret final boss, I guess, Dementio. The reason I say secret is because he technically shouldn't have been, simply because the game leads you to believe Count Black is the final boss, but it's actually Dementio taking over the mind of Luigi. Yeah, Luigi plays a pivotal role in this game's antagonist, because the Dark Prognosticist says that he's the ideal host for the Dark Heart. Yeah, when I said this game sounded like an anime, I meant it. And after Luigi transforms into Super Dementio and shouts the words green at the top of his lungs, you face off against this guy. I understand that this may sound like a lot of malarkey to a lot of people, and trust me, I did too at first, but after playing it, I finally realized how much this game is just epic. Saying epic unironically means you die. Anyway, after Dementio fuses with Super Luigi, or Super Dementio, whatever you want to call it, he's going to destroy all the worlds. And now we can finally get into why I love this game. Like I said, the characters, as I said, Mimi, Dementio, Count Black, and Ochunks, all of them great new characters to put into the Mario series. Sadly, they are never seen again. It makes sense for Count Black because technically in the end he disappears forever along with Tippy, which is another new character. And we don't ever see Mimi or Ochunks again, which is odd. You also don't see Nastasia ever again, which is odd. Hopefully they'll bring them back in the next Paper Mario game, or even in a mainline Mario game. But the reason I say this game is so great is because there is no dull moment in this game. Okay, maybe like twice in the game, but other than those 2 times, the game is just non-stop Mario fun. Jumping on enemies, collecting coins, and a lot of people may think that that's a very bland idea for a game, but in all reality it's not. The level designs, the characters, the enemies you run into, they're all really, really great. And they're some of my favorite Mario character designs of all time, let alone my favorite character designs. Ochunks is like the strong Russian dude. Mimi is just that casual, sassy-esque little girl. And Nastasia is the run-of-the-mill assistant. And then Tippy, another character I probably mentioned before. She's okay, I guess. Not really a huge fan of her. She's kind of like just a quiet Navi, which is something a lot of people would love to have. And, you know, all the characters and level designs are great. So many of these characters deserve a lot more love, but they don't get any because the series is easily forgotten about. Especially this game. A lot of people consider this one of the bad Paper Mario games. Not sticker star levels of bad, but just not able to hold up to what the previous games had before it. And personally, I disagree. I think this game is a lot better than A Thousand Year Door and 64. I believe those two games aren't as strong as what this game holds up to be. And a lot of people also make a ton of similarities to Undertale, with like the 7 hearts representing the 7 souls, Dementio being like Flowey, Mimi being like Muffet, characters like that. They're making a lot of odd comparisons to Undertale. And I don't blame them. This game is really easy to compare to Undertale. So, you know, the music in this game is nothing to deny. Top tier stuff, especially in the Ultimate Show, Ochunk's Warrior, and Champion of Destruction. Those 3 you should definitely give a listen right now. Stop watching this video and go listen to them, then come back. But yeah, Super Paper Mario, God tier, definitely should play it. If you were to play any of the games on this list, other than one, then you should absolutely check this one out. Once, of course, you watch the rest of this video and listen to those songs I told you about. Wow, this video's already almost hit 30 minutes. I just want to go through a few honorable mentions before we get to number 1. When I say honorable mentions, I mean like some that would have made the list and not number 1. I knew what number 1 was going to be long before I made this list. But these are just some games that were close to making it in, but didn't quite get in. So, before I get to number 1, I just want to mention that Hollow Knight was originally going to be where Bowser's Inside Story was, but I looked back and found Bowser's Inside Story and played that, and yeah, that won me over. I just want to say a few things. Thank you for that one person that tunes in and watches my videos every day. Whenever I post. I don't get very many views. 22 subscribers isn't exactly something to be proud about. But hey, that's 22 people that somewhat care for my stuff, I guess. And to be honest with you, this 1 year of doing this YouTube thing, not very tiring at all. I never really worked on this thing as a full-time thing, just as a fun little thing for me to do from time to time. I just want to thank you all for getting me to this point, and at least considering keeping this channel going for longer than a month. But yeah, without further ado, let's get to number 1. That's right. Super Mario Galaxy is my favorite video game of all time. And for some people, it's not very hard to see why. Super Mario in outer space. That idea alone has so many smaller ideas within it that it could be its own game 4 times over. And it was. Halfway. 1 and 2, some see 2 is better, some see 1 is better. I am definitely a Super Mario Galaxy 1 fan. And let me explain why. The levels look fantastic. Sometimes I jump into a level and just look at the sky for hours on end. Sometimes I just go into a level and listen to its music. The music is great. It's soothing, especially the one you're hearing now. Overture, absolutely listen to that. There's some bopping tunes, some music is so climactic, like the final boss battle. Any boss battle in general, and every boss battle in this game is perfection. You fight Bowser a couple times, yeah, and you know, that's still really cool. But other boss battles, like the first one, the one against the giant piranha plant looking thing, great, top tier stuff. You go against a bone that's in the shape of a fish. You go against the fish's bones. You go against an ice king. You go against a hecking witch and an underground ship. The bosses are just out of this world. You fight in outer space 24/7. Mario in space was and still is the best thing that Nintendo has ever come up with. Super Mario Galaxy, best game of all time. Don't even at me. Let's go even deeper into why. I've been ranting a lot. Sorry. Let me get into the story real quick. So the story is all about Bowser, who is kidnapped Peach, but this time with a UFO. He kidnaps the entire castle with a UFO. He then summons Kamek. Kamek kills Mario, and then Mario shows up on a little planet. And we skip a couple hours of gameplay. You're collecting stars for a girl named Rosalina, best girl ever in Mario series, other than Mimi. Oh, by the way. And then you get to the very end. Rosalina asks if you're ready to travel to the center of the universe. You've collected enough stars. There's 120 of them, but you only need 60. And the wonder is right there. You only need half of the game stars. There's so much so much wiggle room for you. You don't want to do a star? Don't do it. Go play one you like. Just like in Mario 64. Don't like a star? Go to another room in the castle and find it. Comet Observatory, great. The music there that plays, it gets better and better every rendition there is. As you collect more and more power stars, the theme that plays slowly adds more instruments to the mix. And the very end is just like, you can't help yourself humming to it, like da 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 da. You know, it's just like, it's crazy. Like this game is crazy. The music, the bosses, the stages. There's never a dull moment. They take advantage of the Wii Remote and use it like it's life or death. The bosses, once again, they are fantastic. The music that comes with them, fantastic. Every single part of this game is fantastic. And as you're fighting Bowser, you all die by a black hole, which is then resets the universe and causes the entire game to start over, kind of. And then you unlock Luigi. You then play as Luigi throughout the entire game. You do it again. Everything is the same. Except for one thing. Yeah. So, spoilers. Final shot, spoilers. You run around Peach's castle collecting 100 purple coins. And there's a fan theory going around that Luigi is Rosalina's dad. It's wrong, by the way. That's really the only thing. I tricked you. You thought they were spoilers. Wrong. Anyway, there's just so much to love about this game, man. I want to say it all one more time. The stages background, the music, the remixes of previous songs, the death of Rosalina's mom. Yeah, there's death in this game. It's proven. She's buried under the tree. Which doesn't make a lot of sense to you guys, but if you played the game, you know exactly what it means. The plot is fantastic. The game, it looks great. Mario dies in the beginning and then is saved by a bunny. This game is whack, but it's the best kind of whack ever. And I don't think I could ever undersell it. Super Mario Galaxy is a perfect game, combining what fans loved about Super Mario 64 and what fans loved about the 2D Mario games. This has been Super Mario Galaxy. And that was my top 10 video games of all time. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and honestly, I don't think I'll ever make one of these again. Unless I truly want to. This video took me about 2.5 days to do, and I know that editing takes a while, so I can't really complain. And I know people who've taken a lot longer to edit videos, but, you know, I just don't really care all that much. I have a lot of free time, so this wasn't really that big of a deal, but I don't expect to be doing these ever again. Top 10s I can do, but top 10 favorites video games I may never do again. These are set in stone, and these are genuinely my favorite video games of all time. So, yeah. I want to thank you all for sticking up to this point, and just kind of like coasting along with me, and checking out how my channel's doing recently. I don't plan on changing how I upload. I'll just upload whenever ideas come to me. Because that's how I've been for the past year now. Ignore that vibration if you heard it. Anyway, yeah. I want to thank you all for sticking around. And here's to another year, or maybe another month, of Smoopy Q.